Hello, dear students. This is my fifth online lecture on magazine illustration. I am teaching you online lecture on this subject in your 8th semester. So, this is my introduction. I am Miss Iman from University of Education, Division of Arts and Social Sciences. I am graphic designer at University of Education. I am teaching you magazine illustration. This is my third topic on the history of magazine illustrations. We will start with the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. And may Allah bless all my students' health and prosperity. Ameen. In this lecture, we will study about the history of magazine illustrations. You have understood much about the magazine illustrations. You students have already created work on illustrations, posters, hoardings, flags in your past semester. You are now very much aware on magazine illustrations, and through my online lectures you will get aware about the magazine illustrations. You watched famous magazine videos, documented articles, pictorials, images, slides, and videos in my last lectures, and now lot more to come in my upcoming online lectures. Think on your topic for a thesis. If you have selected a topic on magazine illustrations, these lectures are very much useful to you. I am telling you again and again, concentrate on these magazine lectures. It contains famous designers videos, pictures, lectures, important notes. Watch them again and again. Think and research. Just have a cup of coffee and start designing a magazine, your own cover page, your inner pages, fashion guest magazine, narrative, editorial, whatever is your choice. Start designing a spectacular magazine for your thesis and for your portfolio. In this lecture, we shall study briefly about the history of magazine illustrations. You already know about the history of illustrations. We will look again much briefly in these two lectures. Who are the famous historic heroes, their work, illustrations, how they came into being. So let's start. This is the art of illustrations. History of illustration covers image making and print history from around the world, spanning from the ancient to the modern. Hundreds of color images show illustrations within their social, cultural, and technical context, while they are ordered for the past to the present. The origins of illustrations prior to the invention of writing date back to the cave painting at Altamira. They used charcoal drawings on the walls. Most of the others created during classical antiquity and the Dark Ages. Others illustrations can be seen with the series of Egyptian illustrations pictorializing legends of the afterlife discovered in the tombs of the pharaohs. The earliest forms of illustrations were created using woodcuts. So मैं आपको ये बताऊंगी कि जो सबसे पहली इलस्ट्रेशंस थी वो केव इलस्ट्रेशंस थी जो कि चारकोल से हुई थी. उसके बाद हमें इजिप्शियंस में सीरीज़ मिली थी इलस्ट्रेशंस की. वुडकट्स हमारी इलस्ट्रेशन सबसे ज़्यादा पुरानी है. तो जो हमारी इलस्ट्रेशंस हैं वो हमें केव पेंट आर्ट से हमें जो है वो इलस्ट्रेशंस हासिल की गई हैं. ये जो आप लोग इमेजेस देख रहे हैं ये बहुत ओल्ड इलस्ट्रेशंस हैं जो कि डिज़ाइनर्स ने हैंड ड्रॉन इलस्ट्रेशंस की थी ब्लैक एंड वाइट में. The origin of the word illustration is late Middle English. An illustration is typically created by an illustrator. You all know about it. Illustration also means providing an example either in writing or in picture form. In the word art, illustration has at times been considered of less importance than graphic design and fine arts. In the world of art, illustration was considered very much important. Today, however, due in part to the growth of graphic novel and video game industries as well as increased use of illustrations in magazines and other publications, illustration is now becoming a valued art form capable of engaging a global market. Original illustration art has been known to attract high prices at auction. Historically, the art of illustration is closely linked to the industrial processes of printing and publishing. The illustrations of medieval codices were known as illuminations. जो हमारी old illuminations थी hand drawn printed थी वो हमारे craves में से मिली थी और वो जो थी illustrations कहलाई जाती हैं. With the invention of the printing press during the 15th century, books became more widely distributed, often illustrated with woodcuts. 15th सेंचुरी में जब प्रिंटिंग प्रेस जो है वो इन्वेंट हुई तो हमारी वुडकट्स उसमें इस्तेमाल की गई टेक्निक और ये जो है हमारी बुक्स बहुत ज़्यादा फिर डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हुई वाइडली. आप इसमें देख सकते हैं हमारे पुराने कार्टून्स कॉमिक्स. Some of the earliest illustrations came from the time of ancient Egypt. मैंने आपको बताया है कि सीरीज़ थी इजिप्ट के अंदर इलस्ट्रेशंस की वो मिली जिस केव आर्ट हमारा जो था उस पर चारकोल ड्राइंग्स थी वो इलस्ट्रेशंस इल्यूमिनेशंस कहलाईं. जापान में कुछ हमारी वुड ब्लॉक प्रिंटिंग टेक्निक्स थी उससे हमारी इलस्ट्रेशंस कामयाब हुई. 16th and 17th centuries in Europe, the main reproduction processes for illustration was engraving and etching. In 18th century England, William Blake 1757 to 1827 who used relief etching. By the early 19th century, the introduction of lithography improved reproduction quality. हमारी कुछ जो हैं वो टेक्निक्स हैं इलस्ट्रेशंस की जो पुराने टाइम पर यूज़ होती थी और जो अभी तक यूज़ होती आ रही हैं. उसमें वुड कट्स हैं इचिंग है लिथोग्राफी है रिलीफ है इंग्रेविंग्स हैं. ये सब हमारी स्टार्टिंग से यूज़ हुई जिसके बाद बहुत ज़्यादा इलस्ट्रेशंस की रिप्रोडक्शन में फ़र्क आया. In 19th century there was a great demand for caricature drawings, social moods, types and classes. These are the old illustrations from 18th and 19th century. The British humorous magazine Punch built on the success of comics and employed many well regarded illustrations, including Sir John. These are the famous kids' illustrations Superman, everyone knows about it. Snow White. From the early 1800s, newspapers, mass market magazines, and illustrated books had become the dominant consumer media in Europe and the New World. 19th सेंचुरी में हमारी इलस्ट्रेशंस में बहुत ज़्यादा इम्प्रूवमेंट हुई. मैं आपको लेक्चर बता रही हूँ, साथ साथ आपकी पुरानी जो हैं वो ओल्ड जो इलस्ट्रेशंस हैं वो मैंने साथ साथ उनको प्ले किया हुआ है ताकि आपको साथ साथ पुरानी इलस्ट्रेशंस भी नज़र आती जाएं. Due to advances in printing, it became affordable to produce colorful crafts within books and other materials. By 1900, almost 100% of paper was machine made, and while a person working by hand could produce 60 to 100 of papers per day. हमारा 1800 जो हैं वो न्यूज़पेपर मैगज़ीन इलस्ट्रेटेड बुक्स आ चुके थे. 19th सेंचुरी हमारा गोल्डन एज है इलस्ट्रेशंस में. पहले हम लोगों ने पेंटिंग्स केव आर्ट के अंदर जो है वो इलस्ट्रेशंस की गई थी. इजिप्ट से हमें सीरीज़ मिली थी. जापान की हमारे पास वुड ब्लॉक प्रिंटिंग थी. उसके बाद जैसे जैसे जब प्रिंटिंग जो है वो इम्प्रूव हुई 17-18 सेंचुरी में हमारी इलस्ट्रेशंस की टेक्निक्स आई. इंग्रेविंग, इचिंग्स, रिलीफ, लिथोग्राफिक विलियम ब्लेक की वजह से. उसके बाद 19th-20th सेंचुरी हमारे बहुत नोटेबल हमारी रिप्रोडक्शन हुई इलस्ट्रेशंस में. ये गोल्डन एज कहलाई जाती है. इसमें न्यूज़पेपर्स, मैगज़ीन, इलस्ट्रेटेड बुक्स 60-100 जो थी वो अमाउंट में प्रोड्यूस होती थी विद इन अ डे. ये सब प्रिंटिंग की एडवांसमेंट्स थी. ये आप देख सकते हैं अपनी स्क्रीन्स पे ओल्ड इलस्ट्रेशंस. Throughout history, humankind has used narrative images to tell stories. I'm again telling you that the recorded illustrations appear in the cave paintings created in France. These images features pictorial representations or logograms in succession. और मिडल एजेस में जो नरेटिव पिक्टोरियल्स थी वो एल्यूमिनेटेड मैन्यूस्क्रिप्ट्स में कन्वर्ट हो गई बिकॉज ऑफ द क्रिश्चियन बिलीव्स इन द रिलीजियस राइटिंग्स. वो जो है वो एल्यूमिनेटेड मैन्यूस्क्रिप्ट्स बनाते थे अपने रिलीजन की वजह से और उसको जो है बुक्स को कॉपी करके फिर उसको सेव करते थे. मैं दोबारा से बताऊंगी 1700s में प्रिंटिंग टेक्नोलॉजी हमारी इम्प्रूव हुई. हम लोगों ने बुक्स पब्लिश की. हमारे पास प्रिंटिंग टेक्नोलॉजी बेहतर आई और हमारा जो है इलस्ट्रेशन में काम बहुत बेहतर हो गया. हम लोगों ने डिफरेंट टेक्निक्स इलस्ट्रेशंस की जो है वो डिज़ाइनर्स ने इलस्ट्रेटर्स ने इंट्रोड्यूस की और आज उसका रिज़ल्ट आप देख सकते हैं कि हमारे पास बहुत वास्ट प्रिंटिंग टेक्नोलॉजीज़ हैं जिसके इलस्ट्रेशन से हम बहुत ज़्यादा फ़ायदा हासिल कर रहे हैं। कैरिकेचर्स हमारे 1800s में बहुत ज़्यादा फेमस थे। 1700s में किड्स के एजुकेशन मटेरियल स्कूल्स के लिए भी जो है वो बुक्स इंट्रोड्यूस की गई। न्यूज़पेपर जो है वो इंक्रीज़ किया गया विद engravings. You can see the illustrations on the screen. It contains the old images, pictorial images from the history. With wider and more efficient distribution networks, illustrated newspapers, books, and magazines were enjoyed by millions of people as affordable entertainment. News magazines, family magazines, women magazines, children's magazines, literary and art journals, political journals, humor magazines, and full color newspaper comics brought the art of illustrations into their daily life. Now you can see the illustrations. It is now a necessity in our daily life. It We have a big market of illustrations. Large group of illustrators creating well-known figures, creating advertisings, magazine covers, story illustrations. Magazines are a big part of our daily life. So, illustration is playing a big role in our lives, and it is now the most essential and necessity of international market. This is my fifth lecture and topic number 3, the history of illustrations. और ये अब की हमारी illustrations हैं। आप लोगों ने ओल्ड वीडियो देखी, अब हम जानेंगे दोबारा से व्हाट इज़ द हिस्ट्री ऑफ मैगज़ीन। मैं दोबारा रिपीट करूँगी कि हमारी जो थी वो केव आर्ट के थ्रू हमारा illustrations इंट्रोड्यूस की गई। An Englishman named Edward Cave published a periodical called the Gentleman's Magazine. He invented the word magazine from the Arabic word magazine, which meant storehouse. In 1842, British news agent Herbert Ingram created the first illustrated magazine. ये आप समझ सकते हैं कि मैगज़ीन का वर्ड वो किस जो है वो इंग्लिश मैन नेम्ड एडवर्ड केव थे, उन्होंने इंट्रोड्यूस किया था, उन्होंने इन्वेंट किया था, जिसका मतलब है मैगज़ीन इन अरबिक वर्ड। और जो इलस्ट्रेटेड मैगज़ीन जो था वो फर्स्ट क्रिएट किया था 1842 में ब्रिटिश न्यूज़ एजेंट हर्बर्ट इनग्राम ने। इसके अलावा मैंने आपको पुरानी जो है ओल्ड इमेजेस दिखाए हैं इलस्ट्रेशंस के, उसके साथ साथ मैंने आपको बताया है दैट हाउ इलस्ट्रेशन केम इनटू बीइंग। इट वाज डन फर्स्ट in the caves, charcoal illustrations, image Egypt series, Japan wood blocks. Illustrations of medieval codices were known as illuminations and were eventually hand drawn and painted. पहले ये hand drawn थे, painted थे. With the invention of the printing press during the 15th century, books became more widely distributed, often illustrated with woodcuts. हम ये टेक्निक्स जो हैं वो अपने अगले लेक्चर्स में देखेंगे कि वुड कट्स, लिथोग्राफी, इचिंग्स, ये क्या टेक्निक्स हैं. हमारी कुछ इलस्ट्रेशंस हैं एंशंट इजिप्ट से. Tomb of Pharaoh, who was father of Ramesses II, born 1303 BC. 15th सेंचुरी में जब प्रिंटिंग प्रेस आई तो बहुत ज़्यादा इलस्ट्रेशन में चेंज आया. आप लोगों ने जाना है कि केव आर्ट से हमारी इलस्ट्रेशंस का आगाज़ हुआ, और आपने ये भी देखा कि वुड कट्स और डिफरेंट टेक्निक्स क्या थी.
St. Louis School of Fine Arts and the Académie Julian in Paris. Once he'd finished his own education, he went straight into 7 years of teaching.
ये भी ओल्ड इलस्ट्रेशंस हैं जो कि हैंड ड्रॉन हैं. दीज आर दी हैंड ड्रॉन इलस्ट्रेशंस done in the past in the 18th, 19th, 15th century. The profession of illustration fully takes hold in the early 1800s. English and French caricaturists independently earned a living as full-time illustrators with sales of engraved prints through small galleries like print shops and city street book-stalls. This made illustrations affordable. Books by Charles Dickens and other popular writers were illustrated throughout. Caricatures हमारे बहुत ज़्यादा फेमस थे old illustrations में. The magazine publishing industry grew rapidly in the 1950s after a long run through the Great Depression and the World War II years. The Saturday Evening Post and Look were the last remaining general interest magazines that continued to publish articles of current events, short fictions, features about family life, the arts, and entertainments. Women's magazines of the era, including Ladies' Home Journals, Good Housekeeping, and others, were powerhouse publications that were extensively illustrated. They paid high wages to top illustrators of the day. 20th सेंचुरी में हम लोगों ने कार्टून्स देखे हैं. वॉल्ट डिज्नी की फीचर्स हैं लाइक ब्यूटी एंड द बीस्ट, अलादीन, लॉयन किंग, स्नो वाइट, Pinocchio. Observed the evolution of animated films like Toy Story, Shrek, and Finding Nemo that boosted इनोवेटिव डिजिटल प्रोडक्शन. आजकल की 20th सेंचुरी में हमने बहुत ज़्यादा इलस्ट्रेशंस में डोंकी किंग हमारी बहुत पाकिस्तान की इलस्ट्रेटेड मूवी आई थी जिसको बहुत ज़्यादा पसंद किया गया. द गेमिंग इंडस्ट्री हैज़ ऑल्सो इवॉल्व सिग्निफिकेंटली एंड टेक्नोलॉजी advanced video games like Final Fantasy The relationship between the gaming industry, the comics industry, and the film industry became more closely connected, and illustrators played an important role and are playing an important role in any every aspect of production, helping to visualize unimaginable worlds. These are the old illustrations, black and white illustrations from 1500 centuries. These illustrations will help you for your thesis. Just take keen interest in your lectures. They will help you out as this is your last semester for your upcoming jobs. These pictures, these designers' work will help you in your job as well as in your thesis. These are the images from the 14th century Renaissance presented a new music, literature, art, and publications that could be mass produced and distributed due to the invention of a mechanical printing presses by Johannes Gutenberg in 1452. The creation and distribution of woodcuts and engraved prints brought images, ideas, and entertainment to a wide audience and provided people outside the upper class the possibility of experiencing art. जब प्रिंटिंग प्रोसेस हमारी इंट्रोड्यूस हो गई तो बहुत ज़्यादा इलस्ट्रेशंस में चेंज आया, हमारी बुक्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हुई, इलस्ट्रेटर्स ने कैरिकेचर्स पे काम किया, बच्चों की एडिटोरियल एजुकेशन जो है वो इन बुक्स इंट्रोड्यूस होने लगी शॉप्स में, मार्केट्स में। चार्ल्स डिकन्स की बुक्स को इलस्ट्रेट करने की कोशिश की गई। These are the famous hand-drawn images. Illustration is a decoration, interpretation, or visual explanation of a text, concept, or process designed for integration in published media such as posters, flyers, magazines, books, teaching materials, animations, video games, and films. An illustration is typically created by an illustrator. These are the wonderful cover pages for a book, illustrated book. There are five main types of illustrations: educational, information, graphics, example, scientific textbooks, literary, example, children's book, fantasy games and books, media, magazines, newspapers, commercials, advertising posters, point of sale, product packaging. Many of these illustrations are designed and created using computer graphics software such as Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, and CorelDRAW, as well as Wacom tablets. Although traditional methods like watercolor, pastels, egg tempera, wood engravings, cuts, and painting are also employed. There is an ongoing debate as to whether illustration is best cat- categorized as a fine art, an applied art, or even a decorative art. You can see the images. These are the masterpieces from different illustrators, and no one can doubt that this art form ranks comfortably alongside other fine arts like painting and sculpture. And this is well known nowadays, and it is gaining popularity. I am teaching you magazine illustration in your 8th semester. We are studying about the magazine illustrations, about the history of magazine illustrations. These are some of the famous illustrations, hand drawn images from the history. Design your own magazine, illustrated magazine for your thesis. Design its cover pages, its inner pages. You know the essential elements, the main important things that magazine cover wants. You just draw and design the cover magazines. I am teaching you the history of magazine illustrations. Illustration has a history from the cave art, charcoal drawings on the cave walls. So you watched an illustration pictorial from the history. Now in 1600s, Japan saw the origination and influential illustration style characterized by expressive lines, tones in brushed wood block printing. 1600s में जापान की वजह से wood block printing techniques introduce हुई. 16th और 17th century में यूरोप में engravings और etchings processes for illustrations. In 18th century England, a notable illustrator, William Blake, who used relief etching. By the early 19th century, the introduction of lithography. मैं आपको सब बता चुकी हूँ. हमारे केव से हमारे images illustrations के इंट्रोड्यूस हुए. इजिप्ट की सीरीज़, फिर जापान की वुड ब्लॉक प्रिंटिंग, उसके बाद हमारे पास प्रिंटिंग प्रेस बहुत ज़्यादा हमारी जो है वो उसमें वास्ट जो है वो चेंज आया. इंग्रेविंग्स एचिंग्स आई. लिथोग्राफी विलियम ब्लेक ने इंट्रोड्यूस की। और जैसे ही प्रिंटिंग प्रोसेस में हमारे 16-17 सेंचुरी में चेंज आया, उसी तरह बुक्स इंट्रोड्यूस हुई। कैरिकेचर्स बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट थे उस टाइम, वो बहुत ज़्यादा बनाए गए इलस्ट्रेटर्स ने। और इसी तरह अब आते आते हमारे वॉल्ट डिज्नी थे, उन्होंने कार्टून्स बनाए बच्चों के लिए। सो आपको बहुत अच्छी तरीके से इलस्ट्रेशंस की हिस्ट्री समझ आ गई है। Illustrations of heroes and festivals, tales and literature, funeral scenes, sporting events were drawn, sized on ceremonial visuals. Illustrative wall paintings and floor mosaics were created to decorate the homes of wealthy and powerful. हमारी जो illustrations जो थी, हमारी manuscripts थी जो क्रिश्चियंस बना रहे थे, वो उनकी वॉल्स में, चर्चेस में भी पेंट की गई। उन्होंने बुक्स सेव की, कॉपी की क्रिश्चियंस ने, उनको आप उन्होंने इलस्ट्रेशन को एलिमिनेटेड मैन्यूस्क्रिप्ट्स में कन्वर्ट किया, उसकी कॉपीज़ बनाई जिन पीसेस अब भी देखे जा सकते हैं। वॉल्स पेंटिंग्स इलस्ट्रेशंस में हुई, फर्नल सीन्स थे, सपोर्टिंग इवेंट्स थी। सो इस तरह से इलस्ट्रेशंस जो है वो इंट्रोड्यूस हुई और आज ये एक वास्ट फील्ड है। Illustrations है क्या? I have told you what is illustration, what are the magazine illustrations, how illustration now came into being, what are the styles of magazine illustrations. So we were talking about the brief history of magazine illustrations. See the wonderful lines. It has 18 issues from the American magazine. These are the stripe-based illustrations. Book illustrations and magazine newspaper illustrations have been the prominent forms of this usual visual arts, although illustrators have also used their graphic skills in the fields of poster, comics, animations, greeting cards, cartoon stripes. Most illustrative drawings are done in pen and ink, charcoal, or metal point. You can see the charcoal, the metal points, the pens, the computer generated images. This is the magazine of American. It has many issues. So this is the end of my lecture. I am teaching you magazine history. We will study more about the magazine history in my next lecture. So keep watching me. Study hard, concentrate on my lectures. These will help you in your thesis, as this is your 8th semester thesis semester, and this is an elective course for your thesis semester. To work hard. Okay, thank you. End of the lecture.